welcome back to my channel. So I literally have no makeup on today. I'm feeling super, I'm not feeling super chilled actually, because when you're watching this, Germany will already be a week into a national lockdown. I'm pretty sure England will also be in a lockdown. They said this morning that they were announcing it. So, you know, like we're not at optimal vibes, but we are still at good vibes, because today's video is one that I've been meaning to film for so long, and as I said, we're now in lockdown, so I can't really be like traveling or anything. But before we went into lockdown, I had an amazing 3 months in Berlin where I literally really got to explore the city, and it is just literally my favorite city, like in terms of things to do. There is so much to do, so much to see. And so I thought today I would do a kind of explore Berlin with me / recommendations video. I initially planned to do it as like a vlog style thing, but because of the sort of growing cases, there are a few things that I had already done before that I was going to go and do again to get video footage of, but didn't really feel safe doing. And so basically this video is going to be me sat here going and telling you about all of the things that I think are really worth doing in Berlin. And what I'm going to do is, hopefully this is going to work. For some things I have like HD camera footage, which I filmed in the last couple of weeks. For some things I just have footage on my phone. For some things I've just got photos. And for some things I literally just have like an Instagram story or like a really old photo, because I've been to Berlin 3 times. I came when I was 16 with my dad. I came for a language course last year, and then obviously I've been living here for 3 months now. And so I have done all of these things at some point, sometimes multiple times, obviously. So basically the plan is to like show you everything that I love about this city and all of the things that I would recommend that you would do if you came, with as many sort of visual things that I have to give you, if that makes sense. But yeah, so basically I know that we can't travel at the moment. I know that this is kind of coming at like not the best moment, but I'm hoping that even if you can't travel at the moment, this video will sort of like make you feel like you're away, and also will give you some good recommendations, because when COVID is over, I literally cannot recommend to you enough that you come to Berlin. I think everyone thinks that Berlin's like not as pretty as other European capitals, and so I think often it gets overlooked, but this city is like buzzing with history. Like it is like, history is like seeped into like literally every corner. There is something like historical, or like something big happened there, something important happened there. And it's also just a city that's so diverse. There's so much to do, there's so much to see, and like normally it's one of the city that never sleeps. At the moment it is pretty freaking dead, but in the summer it was not. So today's video is basically going to be a big fat recommendations video. So if you do enjoy it, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and without further ado, let's get started, because I have a feeling this is going to be a very long video. Very long. But it's fine, we all have time, right? We've got nothing else to do, so. Okay, so I'm going to start with the basic touristy stuff, because I feel like there is a lot more to the city than the basic touristy stuff, but I feel like I need to tell you some of the key highlights that you might want to start with when you get here. So the main sort of area where there's lots to see is around the Brandenburg Gate. I'll insert some pictures, obviously, of the Brandenburg Gate here. I would really recommend actually going at sunrise. I went at sunrise in August, and it was honestly so beautiful, and there was nobody there. So if you come in the summer, I would really recommend doing that. But from the Brandenburg Gate, which is really impressive, you can also see a light show. At some points during the year, they project like a light show onto the gate, which is really cool. And if you walk from there, you can also see the Reichstag, which is literally the coolest building ever. I would really recommend doing the guided tour of the Reichstag. You have to book in advance, but it is so fascinating. It's such a fascinating building. I did a whole extended research project on it when I was at school, and I won't tell you the history now, but like honestly, it's gone through 2 world wars, the division of Germany, reunification of Germany, overthrowing of governments, like so much, and you can see it all in the building, which is really cool. And you can also go up to the dome, and you can watch, well, you used to be able to watch the planes take off from Tegel Airport, but Tegel Airport is now shut when you're watching this, which is crazy. So much is changing at the moment, but it's still it offers a very good view over Berlin, so I would definitely recommend that. And around there as well, there are lots of memorials that are also worth looking at. There is the memorial to the murdered Jews of Europe, the memorial to the murdered Roma and Sinti people, the memorial to murdered MPs that were in the Reichstag, that worked in the Reichstag, that were murdered by the Nazis, and they're obviously really good to like learn. And there's like a museum. They're not really good as in like you know what I mean? Like, they're very interesting. And there's a museum underneath a memorial to the murdered Jews, which tells you a lot about the persecution of the Jews. And basically, there are so many places in Berlin where you could learn about the horrors of the Nazi regime. And I would really recommend that you take the time to do that while you're in Berlin. Another thing that I would really recommend is not really like, it doesn't have like a space, like a place, but there are things in Germany called, actually across a lot of Europe, called Stolpersteine, which are basically these little sort of gold cobbles that have been hammered into the street. And they're put outside the last residence of Jewish people who were deported in the Holocaust or who were killed in the Holocaust. And it says their name, when they were born, and like where they ended up, like, you know, like where they were sent to by the Nazis. So if you do see those walking around, I would really recommend, you know, okay, thriving. Sorry, I literally was just like, they've just announced the lockdown. But anyway, continuing, what was I talking about? Yeah. Oh my God, I'm just trying to film this video and I just, oh God, okay. I would really recommend reading up about the Stolpersteine. The project itself is absolutely fascinating. I'm going to do my sort of year abroad research project probably on the Stolpersteine, I think, because I just find them so interesting. But that was a bit of a sidetrack anyway, but see if you can spot those around Berlin. And then I would also really recommend walking around the government quarter, which is sort of like all of the really fancy government buildings. They also do a light show on the side of one of the government buildings during the summer. I don't think they did it this year because of COVID, but that is also a really good way to learn about the history of Germany. And I would definitely recommend that if you're going in the summer. But generally just a walk along the bank of the river is absolutely lovely in that area, and there's like loads of gardens, and it leads into the giant park called Tiergarten, which is literally gorgeous. Like, the Tiergarten Park is definitely something that you need to do. It's absolutely huge. It was rebuilt after the war and you can just get lost in there. There's a lovely little lake at the bottom with a really nice cafe, and in the autumn especially it's absolutely stunning. And just for an afternoon you can just go and have a picnic there, or you can go for a walk or whatever, and the river runs through it as well. So definitely take the time to walk along the bank of the river, or even do a boat tour. I would really recommend the boat tour as well. I've done that so many times, I think like 3 or 4 times, and you can sit and have a beer and they just tell you about the history of Berlin, and it doesn't actually cost that much money. I'm aware that this video is going to feel a bit like information overload, but also there is just so much, like I have literally so much, so bear with me, okay? If you walk the other way from the Brandenburg Gate, you'll come to Unter den Linden, which is like the big sort of boulevard, similar to kind of like Champs-Élysées in Paris, although not quite the same. And it's very overpriced there. I wouldn't recommend eating in restaurants on that street. You can definitely get better food in like the independent places in the districts, surrounding districts. But it's really cool to walk down there. There's the Russian embassy, there's Humboldt University, the Opera House, there's lots of really cool buildings to see. And if you keep walking, then you come to the Dom, so like the cathedral, which is literally gorgeous. You definitely have to go inside the cathedral. It's honestly beautiful, and a lot of the time they're playing like an organ in there, which is really nice. And the sort of square outside the cathedral is also really lively all the time. There's always live music, people busking, which is so lovely. Me and Jade and Ahis and Jack went and sat there for a couple of hours when they came, and it was genuinely lovely. And it also borders onto the Museumsinsel, which is a big island, like literally an island full of really, really cool museums. There's the Pergamon Museum, there's like so many different museums on there. I don't know exactly what they all are, but there's art museums, museums with sort of like artifacts, museums, like lots of museums. So if you like museums, then go to Museums Island. I've said museums so many times, but I've only actually been to the Pergamon Museum, but you can get a ticket for all of them in normal times. So I would definitely recommend that too. Then when you come past the cathedral, you can go in either direction. So you can go to the left or you can go to the right. I would seriously recommend going to the left towards sunset. Honestly, it's just the most beautiful thing ever. That section of the river with the cathedral, and this, I'll put some videos in of it, but like there's loads of restaurants along the side of there, which in the summer there's like live musicians, and you can watch the boats go past and the sunset over the cathedral, and it's one of my favourite places to be when the weather's nice. And if you walk even further, there's loads of like deck chairs and bars, and you can just sit and like enjoy a beer on the deck chairs, or you can go to one of the amazing restaurants in Hackischer Markt, which also is super cool. I don't think I have any photos of that, but Hackischer Markt and the Hackischer Hofers have loads of like really cute like cafes and sort of like independent stores, and you can sort of walk through the courtyards, and it's really, really nice there too. Or if you go left from the cathedral, no, if you go right from the cathedral, there's the Nikolai Viertel, which is a very sort of like old styly Russian-y, I think it's like Russian architecture, sort of like looks a bit like Prague, like more Eastern European architecture. And again, there's loads of really, really cool independent stores there, and it's just really, really nice to walk around. It's very small, but it was really, really nice for like an afternoon. You can go and get like a cup of coffee or something, and there's loads of really cute cobbled streets, and it's just straight vibes. Or if you go straight ahead, you will get to Alexanderplatz, and I'm going to talk about Alexanderplatz in a minute a little bit more, but the TV tower is there, and if you want a proper good view over Berlin, it's super, super high, and it's a bit expensive, but I think if you're going as a tourist, it's definitely worth going up. You can also go and have a drink up there normally in the bar. They also have a restaurant, and the restaurant like rotates. So you sit on the edge, and within an hour you will have seen like the whole of Berlin, which is super, super cool. But yeah, the view from up there is amazing, and it also has like pictures that signpost what you're looking at, and you can see literally everything from up there. The other three sort of really big touristy things are Checkpoint Charlie. Checkpoint Charlie, I won't tell you the history of it because you can go and learn about it yourself, but it's like a border checkpoint essentially, and you can, in normal times, you can go and get your photo taken with the soldiers there. I'll insert a photo of me and my dad from 2016, but even now you can just go and take a photo. That general area of Berlin is also really, really nice. And right next to it, there is a huge like panorama thing where you can go in and see what, like, it's like a big painting of like, I think it's like 1980 or something, what Berlin looked like in 1980, like with the divide of the Berlin Wall. And there's also a really, really informative museum called, I think it's called the Black Box Museum, that I would absolutely recommend. Like, it's honestly probably the most, it's a very simple museum, but it is the most informative museum to learn about the Cold War and the division of Berlin, the Berlin Wall, all of that sort of stuff. It's really, really good and really, really cheap. And I think, honestly, it is the best museum in Berlin in terms of learning about that side of history. And the other two that are kind of like main touristy places are East Side Gallery. East Side Gallery is a like section of the Berlin Wall that's been kept, and artists have like painted different like murals on there with all like different political meanings, and it stretches from the East train station, the Ostbahnhof, all the way down like for quite a stretch actually, and I would definitely recommend going and doing that as well. It's also really nice there. There's loads of cafes and bars like on the river too, and I'll come back to sort of other stuff that's in that area because I have lots of recommendations around there. So, and if you have not got enough of the Berlin Wall by that point, then I would also recommend going to the Berlin Wall Memorial. That is kind of like if you go to Bernauer Straße on the tube, it's basically, there's loads around that area. I'll be coming back to this area quite a lot because it's one of my favourite areas of Berlin. But there's a huge Berlin Wall Memorial. You can see like exactly what the sort of border controls were, like, because it was a really wide wall, you know, to stop people from going through. You can see all the like barbed wire and the like watchtowers and everything, and there's also like a sort of walking route that you can do to learn a lot more about the wall and about people who tried to escape over the wall and things like that. So that is also super interesting. So those are kind of like the main touristy things that like came to my head, but I'm sure you guys probably knew about those anyway. So I'm gonna go on to shopping, which is of course what I find the most important. So I'm gonna do a quick run through of all of my favorite shopping areas in Berlin, where to shop. Like, I'm gonna try and make it as quick as possible. I feel like this video is already so long, but I hope it's useful anyway. So as I was saying, Alexanderplatz is honestly, like, it's not the prettiest place in Berlin, but it has like everything you would need. It has Topshop, Primark, it has a big shopping mall called Alexa that has like Zara, Bershka, Kiehl's, like literally any type of shop you can imagine, you will probably find it at Alexanderplatz. The only thing they don't have at Alexanderplatz that I would think is like a staple shop is probably Pull & Bear, but like I'm sure you can cope without Pull & Bear if you're going to Alexanderplatz. There's also loads of restaurants, like there's a McDonald's and stuff, like lots of chain places, it's a Five Guys, and it's just very good if you just need to go and do a bit of shopping. There's a TK Maxx, there's a massive TK Maxx, and yeah, it's just a very like staple central place. And also Alexanderplatz is really cool. In normal times, there's like markets there, there's Christmas markets, Oktoberfest, so normally like there's always something going on at Alexanderplatz. At the moment it's not, but like normally it's a really, really cool place to be, even if it's not the prettiest place in Berlin. And not far from there at Potsdamer Platz, there is the Mall of Berlin. These shops are like slightly bougier. Like there's a lot of slightly more bougie shops. It's a very bougie mall. It's very new. But they also have like Zara, H&M, Pull&Bear, Bershka. Like that's my favourite mall to go to just because it's really pretty. Like and it has a slide. It has a slide inside. I don't think I have a photo of the slide, but would also recommend the Mall of Berlin at Potsdamer Platz. The really bougie shopping area is Kurfürstendamm, which is like a big long street, and it's in a very, like, it's in the rich area of Berlin where all the Russian aristocrats live. But again, it has pretty much everything you would need. Again, it also has a Hard Rock Cafe, and it has KaDeWe, which is a huge department store. It's super, super cool. Obviously very expensive, but like, I would recommend going if you come because you can just get lost in there. And it also has, yeah, a Vapiano's, which I think is like an essential because I love Vapiano's so much. There's also the Gedächtniskirche. That was the worst pronunciation ever. It's like a memorial church basically, and it was a church that was very badly bombed in the war, but they've kept it like as it was, and you can go inside there and read more about the damage to Berlin during the Second World War. And they also have a rebuilt sort of like second church where they have a lot of really amazing classical concerts, and it looks kind of ugly from the outside, but it's absolutely beautiful. On the inside, I think I do have some photos of that, so I will put that in. And in normal times, I keep saying in normal times, they have concerts there, which I would definitely recommend too. You can also go to the zoo if you're into that sort of thing. I've never been to the zoo, but I've heard that it's very, very nice. And there's also this very like alternative sort of shopping mall called Bikini Berlin, which has loads of very like small independent stores and one of the best food courts ever. I had a burrito bowl there the other day, and it was so good. It's so, so cool in there. Very alternative, very like, yeah, everything's like independent and the food is great. So I would definitely recommend that as well. But the highlight of Kurfürstendamm is the Christmas shop called Katterwohlfahrt, I think it's called. I have lots of videos of this, so I'll put it in. But oh my God, I don't care if you go in August, you have to go. You have to go and buy all the Christmas decorations. I just wanted to buy the whole store. Super magical, super cool, not actually that expensive, like expensive, but like not more than you would expect for a shop like that. So would definitely recommend that as well. Oh my God, I really want to go back and just buy loads of baubles. Rosenthaler Platz is also pretty cool if you want to go to like a lot of like kilo stores, like vintage stores, but they are very expensive. These like pick and wait stores are genuinely like a rip-off, to be honest. Like it's worth going and have a look, but genuinely like everything is so expensive there. If you want to go vintage shopping, I would recommend the Humana secondhand stores. There's quite a few. There's one at Mehringdamm, there's one near Alexanderplatz. I can't remember where all of them are, but like I would definitely recommend those over the pick and wait stores, just because the pick and wait stores are literally a rip-off. Like there's no other way of saying it. But the elite place in my mind for shopping, if you want to do a little bit more independent shopping, is Bergmankiez, which is where I live. I love Bergmankiez. You guys know this. It's absolutely beautiful. It has so many vinyl stores. If you're into vinyl shopping, there's literally 8 within the vicinity that you can do within like a day because they're all next to each other. There's loads of really nice independent retailers, vintage stores, loads of nice cafes, bars, restaurants. Basically, I would really recommend just dedicating a whole day to coming to Bergmankiez because it's so lovely, and I've bought so many really, really nice things from really lovely independent retailers here. And yeah, I would just generally recommend the Bergmannstraße, which is where I live, and also just the surrounding area. And there's also an amazing flea market at Bergmann, like on the square next to Bergmannstraße on a Sunday, which is also fantastic. So basically, just come to Bergmankiez because it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. Speaking of flea markets though, the best flea market in my opinion, yeah, okay, it's a little bit overpriced at times, but it's fun. Like it's just such a fun Sunday, like thing to do on a Sunday, is at Mauer Park. So again, you can get off at Bernauer Straße or you can get off at Eberswalder Straße, one of the two. Both very easily reachable from like Alexanderplatz or like from the centre. And on a Sunday, literally the whole of Berlin comes to the area, and the park is filled with a huge flea market. You can get loads of like vintage clothes, cameras, like random furniture, bits and bobs. There's loads of really cool, quirky independent retailers. It's just so much fun, and the food there is also incredible. They have loads of like different cuisines, like Korean, Uruguayan, like French, like literally everything. Anything you can imagine they have. and the prices are pretty reasonable for food. And the park itself is also fantastic. In normal times they do karaoke in the park, but at the moment they're not doing that. But normally they have one big like karaoke session where the whole of Berlin can just come and sing like karaoke songs and things like that. But even at the moment they've got like live shows, and like people are playing basketball, they have like drum circles, buskers, everything. Like you could just spend a whole day at Mao Park, which I have done on multiple Sundays, because it's literally just so much fun, and I really could not recommend it enough. There are other flea markets. I've not really explored too many of them because like some of them are quite enclosed, so I haven't really felt that comfortable going to like a really enclosed flea market. But if you have any other flea market recommendations for people, please do drop them in the comments, because I feel like that's the one thing that's lacking on my list. But as I was talking about Mao Park, I also just wanted to mention Prenzlauer Berg as like a district, as that's my second favourite district in Berlin. It is absolutely stunning. I don't really think I had that many videos of it, but I worked there. That was where my first internship was. And again, there are so many cute shops, cafes. It's just so pretty. Around Eberswalder Straße, there are so many amazing bars. A lot of the bars that I'll be mentioning are around that area. A lot of the cafes that I'll be mentioning are around that area. And I would just recommend, if you go to Mao Park, like walking around there and going to all of the cute little like secondhand shops and independent like coffee shops and things like that, which I will recommend in this video later on. But yeah, Prenzlauer Berg is so stunning, and if I had to pick another district to live in Berlin, it would definitely be there. So speaking of cafes, I'm only going to list a few because there are so many. Like honestly, you can go in any corner and there are really nice cafes in Berlin, but I'm going to list the ones that I found my favourites when I was working from home a lot in my first internship. So let's go. St. Olberholz is really nice. It's quite expensive, but a very nice working environment. They also have a co-working space like that you have to pay for on the first floor, but you can just sit on the bottom floor. They have very good coffee. The vibes are immaculate. 10 out of 10 would recommend. West Berlin is near Checkpoint Charlie. They don't have as many plug sockets, which is kind of annoying. But again, the coffee is great. The cakes are great. And I really enjoyed working there, and it's very easily accessible from the centre of town if you don't want to go to a chain like Starbucks or something like that. Coffee Fellows at Eberswalder Straße is just my favourite. Coffee Fellows is a chain, but Coffee Fellows has my heart. Like honestly, move over Costa and Starbucks. Not only do they do amazing coffee, their bagels are also insane, and they have this banana and walnut muffin that just sends me to another dimension. I literally love it. They have amazing like non-coffee drinks as well. They have like in the summer they have some really cool smoothies. They have smoothie bowls, and in the winter they have like punches and like pumpkin and like loads of like basically Coffee Fellows is a chain, but I condone Coffee Fellows as a chain because they're great and I frigging love them. And the one at Eberswalder Straße has the nicest view. You can watch all the trains go past. It's such a busy square. I went and sat and watched the sunset there the other day, and it's literally lovely. It was right by my office, so I worked there a lot. And yeah, I think that's probably one of my favourite cafes in Berlin, even though it's a chain, which I know is really bad, but I love it. The Visit Coffee is also kind of a super gentrified vibe. Everything there is in English, which really annoys me because I really hate like how many places in Berlin now seem to just speak exclusively English, and I feel really bad for the Germans here that probably feel like attacked, a little bit attacked by the English language. I would feel attacked, to be honest. But the Visit Coffee is gorgeous. Again, they do amazing coffee, very overpriced, but the vibe in there is also great. The Wi-Fi is very fast, and they have cute little workstations. It's tucked away in a courtyard in Kreuzberg, and yeah, would recommend completely. I love it there. Brammerballs, oh my god, Brammerballs, okay. Their donuts are 100% vegan, but they are the best donuts I have ever tasted in my life. And their coffee is also incredible, and they come in this really cute pastel pink cups. There's a few Brammerballs across Berlin, but if you come, you need to try one of their donuts. The cookie dough donut is like, I still think about it on the daily, and it's just so good, and it's not that overpriced actually as well, and they are, yeah, 100% vegan. Everything they sell is 100% vegan, and I would, yeah, completely recommend. And the last coffee shop slash cafe is Bagel Coffee and Culture, which is around the corner from me on Maringdam. It's very small, but their coffee is also incredible. Their banana bread, but most importantly, the soundtrack in there, like they had Etta James, they had Frank Sinatra, they had a bit of Billy Joel, and I was like, look, I've come to the right place. The soundtrack in there was immaculate. I sat and worked in there for like 4 hours because I was just loving the soundtrack so much, and the staff are also so lovely in there. So that is one of my favourite cafes ever. And also the little books like on the wallpaper say Oxford on, and it just makes me miss Oxford. So yeah, really love Bagel Coffee and Culture. Now we're going on to bars. I've just realised that this video is already half an hour long. But look, I hope that this video can just be like something that people can come back to when they want to, like, you know, see things, so it's necessary. Clash is one of my favourite bars. It's like they play like heavy metal screamo music, but like it's just a vibe. Like that's really not normally my sort of thing. Oh my god, anti-fascist bar. Super cool, like grungy screamo music, but also just really frigging awesome. It's tucked on a little corner off Gneisenaustrasse, which is just around the corner from me on Bergman Keats. And I would definitely recommend there. The beer is only €2.60 for like a big pint. The long drinks are actually not that expensive either, and the vibes in there when there's not a pandemic are like immaculate. In August it was so good. Not that there wasn't a pandemic in August, but when like things were a little bit more relaxed, they have a really good outdoor seating area. Would recommend. Fitcher's Vogel is probably one of my favourite bars in Berlin. That is near the East Side Gallery that I was talking about. It's very dark in there as well, but the vibes are great and the staff are lovely, and their gin berry fizz cocktail is one of my favourite cocktails of all time. And the soundtrack in there is great. Lovely bit of Craig David, Destiny's Child, Beyonce. But they do smoke in there. Just to say, they do smoke in a lot of bars in Berlin, so if you don't like that, then Fitcher's Vogel is probably not the place for you, and neither is Clash, but Cafe Cinema is also lovely. That is actually by Rosenthaler Platz, by all those really expensive vintage stores, but it's really nice in there as well. It's got like loads of like really cute bunting outside, and the drinks were not too expensive, and it's very nice when the weather is nice and in a very like easily accessible area. 100 Gram is also really bougie. It's like a Russian bar, and they do very good vodka. Oh, my laptop is beeping at me. They do very good vodka. It's quite expensive, but I would definitely recommend if you're like wanting to go for like a slightly more bougie vibe. And the staff are also lovely. Limonadier is another one that I absolutely love. It's like a 20-star speakeasy. You have to like press the doorbell. The main waitress there, she's always there when I go, and she is the most lovely human being in the world, and she will make you a cocktail based on just what you like. She'll like make one specifically for you. She's so attentive, so kind, and the cocktails there are also quite expensive, but again, it's more for like a bougie sort of like cocktail evening. Would definitely recommend Limonadier. I love it there. I don't think I have that many photos of it though. Mein Haus am See is, oh my god, I love it so much there. But normally it's really cool. It has like a staircase so you can sit like right at the top and observe the whole bar. There's really comfy sofas. The drink selection is fantastic, the music is great, and normally it turns into a bit of a club. Obviously not during a pandemic, but like it has like a little club room downstairs, and the whole place just turns into a club. And I've heard that like during normal times it's like actually the place to be, and yeah, would really recommend Mein Haus am See. Not during a pandemic though. Que Pasa is not really a bar, it's actually a Mexican restaurant, but I recommend it more for the cocktails than I do for the food. The cocktails are literally, depending on which one you go to, there are about 5 or 6 across the city. They vary from like €4.50 to like €6, but still they are so cheap, so strong, so good. And if you go to the one at Potsdamer Platz, they often have a live like mariachi band outside as well. So if you want some cheap cocktails, I would definitely recommend Que Pasa. They have such a good selection as well. Like, there are lots of restaurants like that around Berlin, but I think Que Pasa have my favourite cocktails. So in the summer, I would really recommend Prater Beer Garden. That is also near the flea market that I was talking about in Prenzlauer Berg. Lovely, literally gorgeous. It's so pretty in there. It's been open for like over 100 years, like 200 years or something. And it's really nice to just go and have a beer and a pretzel, or you can have some traditional German food as well. They have this like beer where they put raspberry syrup in it, and I literally cannot recommend it enough. It's so yummy. And perfect to like while away a summer afternoon. It's so nice there. If you like How I Met Your Mother, I would also really recommend McLaren's Bar. McLaren's Bar is literally a replica of the McLaren's pub in How I Met Your Mother. It's filled with memorabilia, like literally filled with memorabilia. I absolutely freaked out. But not only that, the burgers there are all named after like Robin, Ted, Barney, etc. And so were the cocktails, and the burgers were so good. and the drinks, like the whole bar has very, very reasonable prices. So even if you don't like How I Met Your Mother, I would recommend, if you're looking for like an Irish pub sort of vibe, that is literally my favourite one. It's so super cool, and if you're a How I Met Your Mother fan, you have to go if you come to Berlin. Like, it was so, so cool. Das Gift is also really lovely. It is again run by, it's a Scottish bar. It actually means poison in German, but I think that's kind of the joke, because English people would think that it's gift, whereas it's actually poison. They do an amazing selection of whiskey if you like whiskey. They also do Iron Brew. They do like Walker's Crisps, loads of like British snacks, and I love the vibe in there as well. And there's loads of really cheap bars around there too, so perfect to start a bar crawl. If you're really craving like British vibes, say if you're moving here and you really want like something British, I would also really recommend Home Bar. They do a weekly pub quiz, which is online at the moment because of COVID, but they also have a massive shop of like Bisto gravy and like Jaffa cakes, all the British essentials you want, and it very much reminds me of like a home pub. So if you are, that's why it's called Home Bar. It's basically for British people who need a bit of home. And finally, I would recommend, I've not been, but like I've seen enough photos to recommend Klunkerkranich. It's literally on the top of a shopping centre, and apparently during the summer it offers amazing views over Berlin, and it's like the most popular rooftop bar. I've not been able to go, but I've heard on good confidence that it's very, very nice. Bloody hell, this video is getting long, isn't it? It's getting really frigging long, but I'm nearly done, I promise. Food, I'm not going to recommend too many restaurants, because honestly, you can go to any restaurant here and it will be good. There is so much Vietnamese, Sudanese, Italian, Mexican, Korean, like any cuisine. If you go to an independent restaurant, like it will just be good, and it's always very fresh, with very freshly cooked ingredients. It's not like the UK way. If you went out to eat every day in the UK, A, your bank account would be empty, and B, you would feel so like stodgy because it's just so salty and just processed. Whereas here, if you go and get a green curry, like it's so fresh. It's as if you've just cooked it at home, and it only costs you like €7 in most places. So basically just avoid the touristy areas and go into like the neighborhoods and just go and find a restaurant like down the street, because it will just be nicer than going in like the main area. But I'm going to recommend some of my favourite like things to eat in Berlin, because I have got a few like favourites. Okay, so Mustafa's Gemüse Kebab is literally like 10 out of 10. If you like doner kebabs, if you never had a doner kebab, like in Germany, it's not as greasy as the one in the UK. It comes in a flatbread. They also do vegan ones too, and it comes with like roasted vegetables and salad. It's actually quite a healthy fast food meal. Costs like €4. The Mustafa's Gemüse Kebab, like, it's the most popular one, but you can just find doner shops like literally everywhere in Berlin. But I would specifically recommend Mustafa's, or the like rip-off version of Mustafa, which is Mustafa Demir's, which honestly tastes pretty much exactly the same. But generally try and go for a kebab that has the roasted vegetables in, because that makes it like 10 times better. If you want a currywurst, I would recommend the Köpenicker, I think it's called, snack bar. It's right by Eberswalder-Strasse. It's literally underneath the train station, and it's super, super yummy. Best currywurst I've had in Berlin, and the chips are also fantastic. If you want Vietnamese food, East Moon, literally again right by Eberswalder-Strasse, is insanely good. I've been there so many times. The staff are lovely, very cheap. They have very good lunch menu, super lovely location. Go on a Sunday after you've been to the flea market. Absolutely great. If you fancy Lebanese food, Barbel, round the corner from East Moon, they have this big plate of like a vegetarian plate. I will put a video in it here. Just appreciate, right? I don't need to say anything else. It is without a doubt one of the best things I've ever eaten in my life. If you want good brunch, I would recommend either Cafe Krona, which is, you guessed it, round the corner from the flea market, or Steel Vintage Bikes Cafe, which is more in the centre. They do the best brunch. They do the best everything. They do like veggie bowls, salad, quinoa, like literally 12 out of 10 would recommend. So yummy. Great. If you fancy a burger, either go to Burgermeister at Slager's Tor. There are actually like 4 or 5 Burgermeisters, but this one is in a former, like, it used to be a toilet building, and now it's been like repurposed into a snack bar. It's such a cool place to go. I would definitely recommend. The burgers are sublime, and Hans im Glück also do fantastic burgers. Bit more expensive, but again, you can really customize your burger. And it was just a 12 out of 10 good experience. I think there are 2 or 3 in Berlin. I don't even know if I have a photo of that, but yeah, would recommend those 2. This is a really basic bitch one, and they do have these in England, but Vapiano is just great. There are like 5 in Berlin, and they cook your, well, in pre-COVID times and probably post-COVID times, they cook your pasta like fresh in front of you. It's so yummy because it's literally like the pasta is cooked fresh, like everything is just done fresh, and there are so many combination possibilities, so many different sauces. I've heard their pizza is also really good. Love Vapiano. And finally, Hako ramen. Oh, the Tantan ramen. It's so warming, so yummy. I think there's one round the corner from the flea market, and there's also one on Bergmannstrasse. I think there's probably a couple of others around as well, but if you like ramen, definitely go to Hako ramen. Like, it is the best ramen I've ever had. I'm just going to quickly run off some museums as well that I think are worth going to, because it is quite overwhelming in Berlin. There are a lot. I'm not going to explain them all too much because I'm aware that this video is very long. Urban Nation is a really, really cool street art museum. I'm planning on going tomorrow before we go into lockdown on Monday, but I might not be able to go, but I've heard it's really cool. The German Spy Museum is so much fun. It's so underrated. It has like a laser maze that you can do, and it tells you all about the history of like spying in Germany, and it is easily one of the most overlooked museums in Berlin. I really love it there. As I said, East Side Gallery and that Black Box Museum by Checkpoint Charlie are absolute musts. The German Historical Museum on the big, like, sort of main street is also really, really good. It does take a long time though, and you probably will get tired going all the way around, but you can kind of pick an era of Berlin that you want to, like, an era of Germany that you want to learn about, and you can just go and watch that because it is free to enter, I think. I think it's free. We didn't pay last time, and the cafe is very nice. The Gay Museum, the Schwules Museum, is also really, really cool if you want to learn about the history of LGBTQ plus people in Germany. It has so many amazing exhibitions. I would definitely recommend that as well. Hohenschönhausen was the former Stasi headquarters, like the secret police, and it's where they filmed Das Leben der Anderen, which is such a cool movie about life under sort of like a communist dictatorship where the secret police were spying over you. And I would definitely recommend going and doing a guided tour of that, because honestly you learn so much about life in the GDR, and you learn so much about like interrogation techniques and stuff. It's terrifying but also so fascinating. That is an absolute must if you come to Berlin. Speaking of the GDR Museum, or the DDR, like the German is DDR, is right by the cathedral, right in the centre of town, and it shows you about what life was like in East Germany. Also super cool in normal times as well. It's super interactive and so much fun. If you want to learn more about Nazi rule, then the Topography of Terror is also really worth going. It's very like hard hitting, but it lies on the grounds of the former Gestapo headquarters, I think, like the other secret police that they had before the Stasi, and that is also really, really insightful, but make sure you sort of are mentally prepared for that because it is very, very like harrowing. Speaking of that, you can also go to the Jewish Museum. That is also about the history of persecution of Jews, and the memorial there is also very moving, and also I would recommend the concentration camp, which I've not been to, but I've heard very, not good things, but I've heard that it's very insightful and worth a visit. It's called Sachsenhausen, and it's not far from the centre of Berlin, so if you have time I would definitely recommend that, but I think you have to book the tours quite far in advance. And finally, I've got a list of random things that I would really, really recommend. The first thing is glow-in-the-dark golf in Görlitzer Park. Super fun way to just spend like a couple of hours. Görlitzer Park is a bit terrifying. There are lots of like terrifying strange men walking around, but when you get past that, the mini golf really doesn't cost that much, and it's really, really cool. We had so much fun doing it. It's got good music, and just a nice way to spend a rainy afternoon. And I would also recommend the cinema in Germany. I know we have them in the UK, but they're actually really cheap here as well. The one at Mercedesplatz is really, really frigging nice. It's like a big, like you get like big like leather reclining chairs, and they have tango ice blasts, and it cost me €10, and it was a very, very lovely experience. Oh, I forgot to say actually, there's a bar called 260 Degrees right by there, and it's a rooftop bar. So cool on the inside, but it also has an outside terrace with the nicest views over like Mercedesplatz and the East Side Gallery, and I would definitely recommend that bar. It's not actually too expensive as well for being in such a touristy area. If you come in the autumn, to be honest, if you come when the weather is nice or in the autumn, I would definitely recommend Victoria Park. That is not far from me. It is gorgeous, and Berlin's quite flat, but if you climb up to the top, which doesn't take too long, there's a gorgeous waterfall running right down the middle of it, and if you climb right up to the top, the views over Berlin are absolutely sublime. It's such a beautiful park, just go and have a walk around, and it's such like a hidden gem that people don't really know about, but the waterfall is genuinely gorgeous and definitely good for Insta photos. If you fancy a bit of culture as well, there's the Charlottenburg Palace. That was a Prussian palace, and again, really, really cool. You can get tickets to go through all of the different buildings, and the gardens are an absolute must-see. Super, super gorgeous. Loads of really cool old portraits. The audio guide is very informative, and the building itself is also stunning. Yeah, like it's just really, really impressive. Very magnificent and a very nice way to spend an afternoon, and you can also go and explore like the nearby area. Charlottenburg is also really nice.
Just adding in this voiceover here because I actually filmed a lot more clips of the Charlottenburg Palace than I had time to put over what I said in this video, but it's honestly such a really underrated part of the city. I spent like 3 or 4 hours just going through, and I also forgot to mention that the audio guide is available in German and English, and it's just very informative in general, to be honest. And yeah, if you do come in the autumn, this is probably the prettiest place you'll see in Berlin. Like, oh, my voice just went then, but look at it, it's so wholesome.
If you want somewhere to chill in the summer, I would really recommend Tempelhofer Feld. So it's a big, big former airport like field that used to be literally like, you know, for planes to take off. It's right in the middle of the city. It's protected like monument now, but you can literally go and you can like, you'll see like, you know, those TikTokers that like roller skate, that's where they're doing it. Like they roller skate on the runways, you can go and have a barbecue, and there's buskers, singers, there's a playground, there's like an allotment, like super, super nice to just go and watch the sunset there. Like there is no better place to watch the sunset in Berlin. Like it's super, super cool. And I would also recommend doing a tour of the actual former airport. I did that the other day and it was so informative, it's so cool. I did not know a lot of the history of that former airport. As I said, Berlin is just like literally buzzing to the brim with history, but that was one of my favourite guided tours that I've done. It's so cool how derelict the building is, and like how the former US Army used to like live there. It used to be US territory. They have loads of like disused parts of the building that just never got finished by the Nazis or by the Americans, and really, really cool. Basically. If you're into Shakespeare, there's also a Globe Theatre. The performances are in German, but if you can speak German, I would definitely recommend. I went to watch The Tempest in German, and that was a very interesting experience, but the actual performance was really cool. They have like a 360 stage, and they're aiming to build like a replica of the Globe in Germany, so they're raising money by using the outdoor stage at the moment, but that was really, really nice. If you like classical music, I would also recommend the Philharmonic. The concerts at the Philharmonic and at the Concert House are incredible. I've been to like 5 or 6 now over my different times here, and I literally just love them. They're so talented. The Philharmonic building is just incredibly cool, and so is the Concert House. They're very different vibes. Philharmonic is very modern, Concert House is very old, but still both absolutely fantastic, and I literally cannot stress enough that like it's just a magical evening, and even better during pre-COVID times, you know, when like you can have like a drink in the interval and stuff like that. 10 out of 10. And finally, there are these things called photo automats, like which are scattered around the city, and it's a project that was made by 2 guys, and they just wanted to make like, they just basically put photo booths everywhere around the city. I would also recommend getting some photos in there because that's like a classic Berlin thing. At the moment, they've got loads of hand sanitizer and stuff outside, and I think it costs like €4, but it's like proper film photo, like it's a film camera, so they're super, super nice and a really nice memento of your time here. Okay, I think, no, I've forgotten something. Okay, I'm nearly done, I promise. This video has nearly been an hour long, but like, it's needed, okay? Potsdam is also a really, really beautiful little city that is not far out from Berlin at all. It is reachable within an hour. Absolutely gorgeous. The buildings are stunning. So much to see, so much to do. And the parks, the gardens, and the Sanssouci Palace are all worth a visit. Like, it's such a nice little day trip. And I went by myself on a little self date and I absolutely loved it. Right, I think that is everything. I'm so sorry if you felt like a bit overwhelmed by this video. I personally felt a bit overwhelmed by this video, but I just wanted to make a big video of all of the things in Berlin that I love. As I said, it's not exhaustive. I could have listed a million other things because Berlin is just the best city ever. There is so much to see and do, and I have not even scraped like the barrel here. Like there are so many other things. So if you do have any more recommendations for Berlin that I have not covered that you think would be interesting for people to know, please do comment them down below, because that would be absolutely fantastic. And we can have, basically this video can be like an all-in-one guide to Berlin. So if you guys ever do go to Berlin, you can come back to this video and do some of the stuff in this video, and hopefully you will enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed my time here. Anyway, if you did enjoy this video, I'm so sorry that the pace was super fast, but give it a big thumbs up. And yeah, I have been really grateful to spend my time here in Berlin. I know my time isn't over, but it kind of is because we're going into lockdown now. But I have had the best 3 months. Absolutely cannot complain. It has been fantastic, and I hope that this video shows just how much there is to do, and also will show me just how much I have done, and maybe even more grateful to live in such a magical city. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you with a slightly less crazy video next week. Bye guys. Mwah.